Hello fellow modelers and styling fanatics, welcome back to my channel. I hope that everyone is doing fine and enjoys the hobby. Concrete Bunker is back again today for another one of its notorious episodes. So, it is time for us to put an end to our project, which project is none other than our Land Rover 109 LWB from Italeri in 1 to 35th scale and kit number 6508. Me and Past George on this episode did our best to demonstrate a specific weathering type which is made for this vehicle, which is inspired from this vehicle, and we were also able to put the final parts together and do a final reveal. Before I proceed with the episode, I wanna talk about what I've said moments ago, the specific weathering type for this specific vehicle. Let me explain it better. For how things work in my mind. For each vehicle inspires me to do a different weathering technique. When I say a different weathering technique, I am talking about chipping, mud effects, dust effects, dot filters, and the list goes on and on and on. Rarely a vehicle inspires me to do everything on it, and I can tell you that I never had done every single one of the weathering effects onto one build. To be honest with you, I cannot remember right now, but I believe that I have never done it. I specifically choose weathering techniques to apply to each vehicle. In this case, I have chosen color fading, almost color fading, and dust effects, together with some old dried mud onto the bottom of onto the floor pan of the vehicle. Anyway, that's what I chose. That's what the Land Rover inspired me to do. I tried to caught the majority of my work on camera, at least the highlights of my work on camera, and this is what you guys are going to watch today. So I don't want to bore you any longer with my ramblings, mainly because they don't make sense. So you guys all know the drill. Grab yourselves a seat, crack the mandatory cold one or a hot brew, depending when you are in the world and what time it is right now, and let's see what me and Past George have prepared for you in this episode. Hi guys, welcome back to what it looks to be part 6 and probably the final reveal of our Land Rover project. So, I am going to cut straight to the chase because I don't want to bore you. This is probably going to be another long duration episode, but it is what it is. What are my plans for this episode? My plans for this episode is to dedicate it to the weathering of this specific vehicle. And when I say this specific vehicle, I am going to explain right now what I mean. When I weather my vehicles, I don't have a specific recipe, which means that for each vehicle, each vehicle inspires me to weather it differently. For example, in this vehicle, I'm not gonna add any chips at all, mainly because I don't believe that it is going to be chipped. It is going to be so roughly used to have some chips here and there. If, and I say if with a big I in the start, if this vehicle didn't have a canvas cover over here at the track bed, I would apply some chips, mainly in the track bed area. You know, when soldiers and in general people load stuff into trucks, they are not so careful. You know, accident happens, paint gets gets damaged and chipped. But since I have a canvas cover, and since the canvas cover doesn't give us a good visibility onto the track bed, I am not gonna add any chips at all. So this one is going to be a chip free vehicle, if you can name it like that. What I am going to do though onto this vehicle inspired me to do dust and mud effects mainly over here at the bottom part of it, and dust effects all over it. I am going to dust it all up and apply some streaks. Now this is going to be streaks of dust or of grime, I believe. I don't know yet, but I believe that they are gonna be streaks of dust. And except that, I am going to give it some tonal variation in the color in the green parts of the vehicle. All these effects, for all these effects, I am going to use oil paints, mainly because they give you ample of time to work with them, and because they are forgiving, and the last reason is that they have great effects. Oils do provide some very interesting and good looking effects, by my opinion. So without further ado, I am going to explain you exactly how I am going to proceed. Since the last time you have seen this vehicle, I have done nothing except from applying Tamiya panel liner everywhere, You can also make your own dark wash or brown wash with oil paints and turpentine or odorless mineral spirits. I didn't do mine this time, mainly because, as I've said multiple times in the past, I have the panel liner for the time being, and until I finish it, I am just going to keep using it. So I'm not gonna give you a closer look over here at the Rover, at the body of the Rover, mainly because it's not so visible. I am going to give you a closer look of the canvas cover. This is my panel liner application before I clean all this mess up. As you can see, in every detail, well, almost every detail, I missed a spot over here. Give me a moment. I applied panel liner in every detail. Every nook and cranny has panel line. Every nook and cranny. Every corner, crevice, or anything with some detail has a coat of panel liner. So here is how it is supposed to be looking before you start removing the excess panel liner with mineral spirits. And let me give you a closer look of a road wheel as well. Now you won't be able to tell the difference, mainly because it is quite dark, and my lights are not so good, but it is there. So my next step will be to clean this all up. Well guys, I am back. I have cleaned the Tamiya panel liner from every surface, and I am just only going to show you the canvas cover, mainly because this is the part that my cleanup is mostly visible, so you can see the difference before and after. So here it is. Here is how it looks. I have used mineral spirits to clean the excess wash from any areas I didn't want it to be, and here is how it looks right now. Of course, and I have left some enough amount of panel liner in every detail and in corners, nooks and crevices, and the rest of it I have just blended it onto the surface. So as I've told you, I have done this to the canvas cover. Also I have done this to the road wheels that they are located over there, and I have also repeated the surface over here at the car body. Now, apart that, I have done something else just to show you the difference. Here is the side that I have cleaned the panel liner, and here is, take a good look at it, guys, at the green color especially. And now take a look at this side, at the green color of this side. Over here I have just blended some oil paint to, create some color modulation and also make the green more vivid in here and there. Mainly I have done it to have more color modulation. So what I have done exactly, I am going to demonstrate right now. So over here I have laid some oil paints in a piece of cardboard. This will help you to remove the linseed oil. As you can see, linseed oil seeps to the cardboard piece. Why I have done that? Mainly because this will help the oil paints to dry even quicker. Well, not as quick as acrylics, but quicker, which is something that I want right now. There are guys out there that they don't do that. They are more, far more familiar with oil paints, and they don't do that. I am not so familiar. I do want my oil paints to dry quickly at the time being, so I have laid them on top of a piece of cardboard and left them there for at least half an hour to 45 minutes. So for this part of the weathering, I am going to use only one color, which is this one, which is none other than Arbtelung ABT 050 olive green. Thanks, Rob, for providing me with this oil paint. With this brand of oil paints, I am going to make good use out of them. So what I have done, let's cut to the chase. What exactly I have done? I have taken a smidge of oil paint, and applied some dots here and there whenever green base coat is located. Just a smidge, you don't need a lot. Next up, I clean my paintbrush. I remove all the excess, and then I slowly start to blend it. Circular movements, of course, and I leave some points with the base coat. I don't want to cover all the base coat and all the work that I have done up to this point. I just want to create some, I just want to give the surface an extra color, if that makes sense, to give it more depth and give it an extra effect, Now, the olive green is a lighter color than the base coat, than the olive drab that I have base coated the vehicle, which means that I will focus, I will use the color mainly in the center of panels. The edges of panels will still be, olive drab, mainly because that's how panels fade after prolonged, exposure to sun and weather phenomena. And another thing to note is that I use a sacrificial brush. Don't use your good paint brushes for blending oils on a surface. You will ruin them, guys. You don't need to ruin a perfectly good brush for the process I am doing right now. You just need a blending brush. Another thing with oils is that right now my brush is loaded, and I will keep moving, I am going to push forward to the next panel. You don't need a lot of oil paint to create this effect that I am currently working on. And here is how the bonnet looks. Let's zoom in a bit. I am going to apply some over here to blend it with the rest of the surface. We want a uniform vehicle, not a vehicle with 50 shades of green. Oops, sorry, that was a power shortage. There is a storm brewing outside. That was kind of unexpected, like every power shortage. I forgot to blend this side. And most keen-eyed amongst you can see that I am just grabbing the tiniest amount. I'm just, touching the paint with my brush, just tapping it. Don't need a lot. Let's move on to the other side. Another thing that I love with oils is that they are really forgiving. If you don't like this effect, you can always wipe it off, you know. You can always grab another paintbrush loaded with mineral spirits and erase what you have already done. You have a lot of time to work with them, to blend them, and they are pretty forgiving, which is great. So even if you make a mistake, you can return back to your prior state, to the prior state of the vehicle that you are working with. Now, if you want, you could add more colors, another set of colors, and we armor modelers normally name that dot filter. They use 2 to 3 colors and blend them to the surface to give it color modulation. But in my case, I don't want to add any other color at this point, any other oil paint color at this point. Green is enough for me. I just want it to look a little bit faded. That's why I am doing that. Now that's a little bit artistic as well, keep that in mind, guys. Military vehicles are not, stranded on the field for years, which means the color don't have the time to fade like this. This is not so realistic, it is artistic, so keep that in mind. When you weather a vehicle, be careful, most tanks and vehicles are not rust buckets. They were properly maintained, and they didn't spend so much time on the field without being destroyed or sent back to be serviced. And except that, the crew always takes good care of its vehicles, because, as you can guess, it is a life or death situation. A properly maintained vehicle will help you survive a war or a conflict. And now let's move on to the rear. As you can see, guys, I do several different motions with my paintbrush, in either points I staple it, in other spots I do circular motions. It depends where you are, what's the panel you are working on, and the effect you want to achieve. Come on, go slow, build it up, build up the effect you want, but slowly. Take breaks, look at the vehicle, with fresh eyes, and keep moving onwards. Keep adding or removing paint as you wish. Now I think that I am in a good stage. As I've told you, I'm gonna take a break to see to decide if I like it, but until I decide if I like it, here is how it looks. I will keep blending a little bit more off camera, but as you can clearly see, there is color modulation, and now the green parts of the vehicle is a little bit more, they are a little bit more vivid. Now everything is almost dry, and it is time for us to proceed to the dusting stage of this vehicle. Before I start, I want to show you how it will be, since I have done all the other sides of camera just to gain some extra time and get my bearings with the surface. When I say get my bearings with a surface, each vehicle has different places where mud and dust accumulates. It depends on the shape of the vehicle, and there are number of road wheels. And when I say number of road wheels, of course there is difference between a tank and a jeep, for example, or a jeep and a bike. And the list goes on, etc., etc. You get what I wanna say here. Hopefully, you get what I wanna say. So, I toyed with dust placement of camera, reached the results I wished to reach. Got the results that I had in mind, and now I know how to do it again, to repeat it. So here is the clean side, as you can see from the previous part, and boom, here is the dusty side, the side that I have added dust, over here at the lower part of the vehicle, and streaks at the rest of the surface. This is the most visible side. I have done the same thing over here at the back, but the detail is too much, and I don't have straight panels to work freely, so you won't be able to spot the effect as good as this side. So we're gonna use this side as a reference. Now, whenever you want to add dust to your vehicles, please consider how dust works in reality, how dust and grime accumulate by the time in reality. I took, in this case, for this Jeep, I took example of my car. If I don't wash my car for a long time, dust accumulates over here at the lower parts, and over here and here. You know, when the wheel goes round and round, as the kid's song says, it throws dust and mud and stuff this way in this corner and in that corner as well. So there is gonna be definitely some more dust accumulation over here and over here. Apart that, the vehicle in general gets dusty. But what happens when it rains or when you live in a place that there is a lot of humidity, like my case? You know that humidity and rain tend to make the dust streak, move downwards through the droplets of water. So, but it still leaves some marks, and that's the dust streaks, as you can see. So I took those stuff into consideration, and having my car in my mind as an example, I proceeded and and got this result. Now we're gonna try to replicate the same thing onto the other side, of course. What I am going to use: odorless mineral spirits, a sacrificial paintbrush, and of course these two oil paints. Now this one is ABT 035 buff, and this one is ABT 240 cream brown. I have chosen these two mainly because they are nice complementary colors with each other, and they resemble dust to my eyes. I have chosen two colors to add even more depth and interest. Now you can choose 2, 3, or even more if you wish. I just oversimplified the things and proceeded with 2. Now what do we need to do? We need to grab a tiny amount of oil paint with our sacrificial jar and start to add it over here where the dust accumulates more, at the edges of the lower edges of the vehicle. You need to work slow and do it in stages. Don't rush. You don't need to go overboard. Let's add the other color here and there just to add interest. Oops. Okay, I added a lot over there, but that's okay. It's gonna work. And I think that amount will be enough for the time being. Let me clean my paintbrush. Make it completely dry again. We don't want to wipe the oil paints off. We just want to blend them. So be sure that your paintbrush is completely dry. And let's start blending. The effect will slowly build up, of course, and we won't get the desired effect in one go. We would need 2 or 3 layers to achieve it. Of course, I am gonna show you 1 or 2 layers. The rest are the same, you can imagine. As you can see, I am doing circular movements. I am moving upwards a bit just to blend the color with the rest of the surface, and I am working slowly. Oil paints don't need to rush. You can always build the effect slowly, but even if you rush and even if you do a mistake, you can wipe them off. You can grab a dry piece of tissue and wipe everything off. They are really forgiving, and this is a thing that I love, mainly because we can work stress-free. Now I am going to add more and more until I get my effect. The procedure will be the exact same, almost the exact same. Not gonna clean my paintbrush this time. Over here at the corners where the dust accumulates more than the rest of the vehicle, you can also use the staple technique. Move your paintbrush as well. We don't need even patterns. There is not that there is gonna be any even pattern if you're moving your paintbrush in a circular motion, but just saying, just wanna be sure. Okay, now we have the initial stages of the dust build up over here at the lower part of the vehicle. While we are at this point, I will add another factor to the game. I will introduce some streaks. Now, what we need about streaks, we need another sacrificial paintbrush. The tip doesn't have to be edged. It can work. It can work even if the tip is like this. And I will need to dip this, not a lot, just the tip, just a tiny amount of mineral spirits. Wipe them off in my paper towel that I have off camera, placed in a strategic location, and start you start dragging the oil paints in downwards. Upwards to downwards. This will slowly build up the streaks. This will blend the dust layer even more. And as you can see, some streaks are really starting to, already starting to appear. Now, you have to be extra careful with streaks. What I wanna say, imagine your vehicle again, the vehicle that you are currently working on. Streaks are not gonna be apparent in every spot. What I wanna say, over here at this round edge water will accumulate and drip downwards, which means that this place, all this place will be relatively clean of streaks. There is gonna be some dust, but there won't be any streaks at all. Streaks will start from the middle of the panel, let's say, will start to be visible from the middle of the panel, let's say. So this means that I will need to clean my paintbrush again, add some mineral spirits, and start cleaning only the upper portion of the vehicle. We are gonna start erasing streaks, the upper part of them at least. We're gonna redistribute the oil paints. Okay, now that we redistribute them, I'm gonna blend them even more. You don't have, just do it gently, pull downwards, pull the paint downwards and work slow. You don't have to press your paintbrush firmly to the surface, just gently. Keep doing that until you fall asleep probably, or until you get the desired effects. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to pause the video over here, do the same techniques over and over again, build it up to the desired point, and I am going to be back. Well guys, I have been a busy bee. While my sides were drying, the oil paints need some time to dry, even if you remove the linseed oil from them, majority of the linseed oil from them, they still need some extra time to dry. So while I was waiting for that, and by the way, here is how it looks, how the sides look. Here's one side, the one I did off camera, of course, and here is the other side, which one we did on camera and finished it off camera. Okay, my lights don't do it justice. From up close and personal looks a little bit better, a little bit though. Okay, so while both of the sides were completely drying, I focused my efforts onto the bottom of the vehicle. Now I didn't record this step mainly because it's plain simple and easy. It is my usual mud application technique, and for the guys that they are not familiar with my technique, here is a simple and brief description. First step is to apply diluted PVA with water all over the place, on the places you want the mud to be. Then the second step is to apply your mud concoction. My mud concoction is pulverized dirt from my garden. Then after that step, you start spraying the surface with IPA, isopropyl alcohol. This helps to break the surface tension of the glue, and it also helps the pulverized dirt to seep in. in the layer of glue. While everything was wet, I created a wash with the colors, the oil paints that I have used in the sides, you know, buff and the sand color, if I remember correctly. And I started touching areas here and there, you know, just in random positions to add some different dirt color, different mud color, and to add some more visual interest. Apart from that, I have applied a wash onto the chassis just to make it dusty. And the last thing that I have done is to weather a little bit the exhaust system. Here is a closer look. Let's move my camera a little bit, position it better, and here is how it looks under my lights. Texture is there. We have various earthly tones, and we also have you know, a dusted chassis. I kinda like how it looks. I am very happy with the outcome, and I had a lot of fun through the process. Now, what I have used to apply the rust effects on my exhaust system. Two oil paints. First one is Arbteilung ABT 060 light rust, and the second one is Arbteilung again ABT 070 dark rust. Now, apart from the, give me a moment, the buff color ABT 035 and the cream brown, if I remember correctly, ABT 240, for more earthly tone, earthly tones over here at the lower part of the vehicle. I have used ABT 093 earth. That's the extra oil paint I have applied as a wash. Everything, and I mean everything, applied on top of dirt and on this area was applied into as a wash, you know. Some paints were more diluted, some not so much, you know, just like not a filter, just like exactly in a wash like consistency. Now, what this means? This means that the car body of my vehicle is ready by my standards, by what I want to achieve. So we have the sides dusted and dust streaks, rain streaks, whatever you want to call them. We have the bottom side of the vehicle, which is all muddied and dusted up, and what's left for us is the road wheels, you know, to show you how I will what I will do on my road wheels to get the desired effect. Okay guys, time to weather some road wheels. My intention is to look like those over here, as you can see, all done and dusted. They're both sides are done and dusted. I need to dust the place where the thread, the wheel thread is, if it's that called a thread, but I don't remember right now. So anyway, here is how I do this. You need buff color in a wash like consistency, a paper towel, of course, and a paintbrush, and here we go. So let's mix our wash a little bit, grab quite a substantial amount with our paintbrush and fill the nooks and crannies of the wheel. All around the rim where most of the detail is, and then all around the sides of the tire. This will create dust deposits on our road wheel. And now our next step is to clean the excess of, or as I say, redistribute paint. Wash, not paint, sorry guys. As you can see, I am moving oil paints from the sidewall of the tire to the edge and adding a little bit more dust as I keep going. And that's it, guys. Now what's left for us to do is to wait for all my road wheels to completely, for the wash on my road wheels to completely dry, then attach the road wheels. No, I'm not gonna attach them yet, sorry. Then attach the road wheels to our styrofoam block, our paint holder thingy anyway, and move everything to my paint booth so we can spray everything with a matte coat. Let me do that off camera, of course, and I am going to be back. Well guys, I am back, which means that the vehicle is dull coated. Here is how it looks. And this also means that now is the time for the final assembly. So let's not waste any more time and start straight from the very last pieces. Now we need for road wheels the spare tire and for road wheel hubs. Let's start from the spare tire. Let me apply some glue onto my sacrificial jar, some super glue onto my sacrificial jar, and let's start the final steps. Okay, this should be enough, I wanna believe. And yep. And now let's continue with the road wheels. So each wheel needs to go there. And we need to position its hub on top of it. Put some glue for good measure and go. look at that, I may be able to retain movement. We may have a rolling Land Rover, guys. Well, that's not my intention, but yet again, rear wheel looks like it has a negative camber, which means it's not straight, but I am going to be sure after I place it. Come on. Okay. Yeah, it kinda has that negative camber, but anyway. I cannot do anything right now to fix it. So guys, hopefully this video with my demonstration on my weathering should be a little bit helpful to you. I wish that at least that it would be a little bit helpful to you. As I've said, this is one of the many ways, different possible ways you can weather your vehicle. Nothing is canon, you know, nothing is set in stone, if I may. Each one of us modelers has his own way of doing stuff, so do I. And each one of us has his own way for its specific vehicle or for its specific situation, what suits you best. Yep, right, exactly, in place. And for the first time, guys, we have a rolling chassis, if I may. So now I will need to prepare all the clear parts, you know, windshield and side windows together with the headlights, in order for me to place them. Okay, guys, to be honest with you, I grew a little bit impatient and I glue parts as I prepared them. Although I've told you that I will prepare them to glue them on camera, I said, oh, let's not do that. That's what I said to myself. Yeah, it's nothing, you know, of me to note, just placing parts in the respective positions. What I have done off camera, you may ask. I have placed the headlights, windshield, side windows, if you can call them like this, side windows, and the rear windshield and the canvas cover. And here is how the thing looks. That's the best placement of the canvas cover. I finally realized what's warped in this build, and this is nothing else than the chassis. And yeah, there's nothing that I can do right now, but it is as good as it gets. The only issue, as you can see right now, is a small gap over here exactly, that my camera makes it so visible. If you look it with bare eyes is not as bad. It is visible, but it's not as bad. Anyway, that concludes our build of the Land Rover. Let me see if I can give you a closer look while I am telling you my opinion about the kit and the build in general. So let's see. Is that? Yep. So let's talk about this kit. Now that I concluded the build, I have a full opinion about it. It is not one of the Italeri's best gems, if I can call the good kits of Italeri gems. But anyway, this one is not one of their best kits. I have encountered even better kits from that company, and definitely this one is not of them, mainly because it has many issues. When I say issues, I am talking about warped parts. I also have another issue over here. I forgot to point it out. Here, exactly as you can see, this one came out straight off the box. The windshield is scratched, and there is also a black mark over here, exactly where the edge of my tweezers are. As I've said, this one came straight out of the box. There is nothing for me to do to repair that. So this thing is warped. This thing is warped. The chassis of this thing is warped. Clear parts are not in great condition, and the way the guys want you to assemble it may be a little bit troublesome. You know, everything is an individual panel. They don't give you something square, a square base to start a build and make sure that everything is as they should be. Anyway, it was a good learning curve for me. I was able to sharpen my skills, my basic modeling skills, like I do with its Italeri kit. All in all, I would say that that's a solid kit. Definitely not recommended for a beginner, but I could recommend it to an intermediate or advanced modeler, but be wary that you're going to face some issues. You have to have the will to make this kit, you know. You have to be patient, to go slow, and be wary of its problems, you know, plan ahead, even better than me. Yeah, apart those issues, I am relatively happy with my work as well. Okay, I know that some stuff could end up better, but it is what it is right now. I have done some mistakes. Now I know better. I consider this build a success from that point of view. Now it is time for me to wrap this episode up, which means that with all that said and done, we have made it to the end of this episode. On our next episode, we will probably unbox our newer project, which I have no idea what it's going to be honest with you. I have a recommendation from my wife, but I am not sure if I am gonna go with that. Anyway, we're gonna see when the time comes. I hope that you guys found this video helpful and interesting, and stick along for the next one, of course. Before I go, I wanna thank each and every one of you guys that watched this video. A special thank you to all my subscribers, old and new ones. You guys are the best, and you are the reason I keep doing these videos and these builds, of course. Now, for the newcomers out there that encounter one of my videos for the first time, welcome guys. I hope that you like what I do. If so, you all know what to do. Leave a like, comment with your thoughts and opinions, share the video if you believe it deserves to be shared, or even consider subscribing for more builds to come your way. Until the next time, fellow modelers and friends, take care and model on. It was that Morpho Demon, signing out.